to the Sad Dads Club podcast. Here's everybody's favorite sad dads, Jim and Foo.
Hot, just in like the last 30 seconds, moving shit around. Look, clearly the person hiding behind you in the curtain is hot.
I mean, it's only 92. It's not like last week when it was fucking... I think we just did this show on the surface of the sun. I don't know.
It was...
But I think since also last week, we've had a lot of things happen, like, I don't know, hurricane. I mean, it didn't really affect us much. Who was I
catching? But... It was Finan, Channel 3.
Oh, Mark Finan?
Yeah.
He gets all excited about that shit.
In the last couple of days, the monsoon has passed us by. I'm like, dude, what? The monsoon!
The monsoon.
Monsoon season. Like, dude.
Is it a monsoon? I mean, everyone was calling it a hurricane, which I thought hurricanes were like Atlantic and Gulf Coast. And then when you hear about monsoons, those are normally hitting on the other side of the Pacific because that's where they're more common.
Typhoon?
Monsoon? Monsoon would just be breezy, windy.
Yeah, rainy.
Windy, rainy. We didn't really...
It went from like tropical storm to... I think they were calling it a monsoon by the time it was at Palmdale, Lancaster.
Yeah.
Like, waiting for it.
We got some overcast.
Waiting for it. Sunday, Monday was like 60% chance, 40% chance, rain, thunderstorms, 20% chance, 40% chance, thunderstorms, heavy winds.
Yeah.
10% chance.
Overnight drizzle.
Maybe a sprinkling, as if you were being peed on nightly. From far, like 20 feet maybe.
It was very uneventful. I felt like it wasn't as powerful, obviously.
A political speaker spittle from a third row back.
Yeah.
And you're like,
yeah.
It was enough to anger me about the spots on my windshield.
There were, I mean, obviously folks affected by all of that. But...
Sure. I have cousins in Lancaster that are like, the streets are flooded. You need a boat. And I'm like, well, that's probably because you shouldn't have been taunting it by going out and having a wine tasting the week before and being like, Hurricane Killery.
Killery.
I'm like, dude. Anyway. Yeah.
Oh. Motherfuckers.
Whatever. What are you going to do? You going to get up there and, like, stand? What? Oh, he's doing it. He's doing the hot jack. Got it. Okay, so what do we got? Last week, I did a huge mistake in taunting the auto demons.
Yeah, it happens.
Do you want to talk about that, or you just want to move?
Yeah, I do because I have an update.
Okay. So,
yeah,
if you're following the breaking news,
well, if you're following along at all,
right,
with us,
right.
The Cadillac has been a thing since January.
My dad asks point blank every Friday, how's the Cadillac?
Oh, really?
Yes. Because he just thinks it's like a thing. And last week, I'm like, oh man, he went to Fort Bragg and he got new tires and he did the drive with the blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, that's a good drive. I'm like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then you're like,
well, this is the second time this scenario has played out where someone has said, how's the car?
Right.
No check engine light? And then the next day, check engine light, and it went in the shop. So that happened one other time. And then last week, you met, the Cadillac's here.
Right.
And you're like, oh. And I'm like, fuck yeah, it is.
Right. And we'd already had the show about Fort Bragg, so I was taking a shot across the bow just for fucksies, and that was wrong.
So Thursday evening, my wife and I went to go run errands, and she was just running in a couple places, and I didn't really feel like getting out of the car because it's like Dollar Tree for X, Walgreens,
Victoria's Secret.
So it was one of these situations where I drove her, we stopped, I stayed in the car. It was hot out, upper 90s. She ran in. I idled outside for the AC, drove her to the next spot to mail something, idled outside, didn't shut the car off, drove her to the next spot, idled outside, didn't shut the car off, went to another place, same thing, went to another place, same thing. Then from there, we were going to, I think, a UPS store or something.
You're just
on the way
running
home.
errands.
We're just running errands.
Okay.
But I haven't turned my car off, so it's heat soaking.
Sure.
Is all I can say. And we're buzzing down and Pacific from Rockland, coming in from Rockland.
Yeah.
And it starts acting funny, like the transmission is giving up the ghost. And it just feels, that's what it feels like.
Okay.
But by now, I kind of know that also could mean it's probably misfiring, because that's how it feels.
Okay.
And so I start to feel that, and I'm like, and Shanna starts to feel it, which normally she wouldn't really know.
Right.
But she's now in tune with it.
Right. She's not like,
she's like, oh, and I go, what the fuck is going on?
She's like, I want to sit in the trans tunnel.
Yeah. So then we pull up at Sunset and Pleasant Grove.
Okay.
Like across the street from
right
In and Out.
Yep.
We're going towards 65. And the fucking check engine light starts flashing, and it starts misfiring hard, like to the point it's vibrating hard. And so fuck. And I immediately go through the intersection and turn out and park like by the Krispy Kreme there.
Okay.
Call AAA. I'm like, motherfucker needs to be towed. I'm not driving it like this.
Okay.
It's a 3.5 hour wait.
Holy shit.
For fucking AAA. The thing of it is Shanna, on the other side of the bridge, needed a package to go to the UPS store over by Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, because the UPS store is right across the overpass.
And I'm not going to, she knows I'm not going to drive it over there.
Right.
Missing, right?
Right.
Because something bad will happen.
Right.
And I'm like, call Chandler, have him come get you. We got 30 minutes before they close. That's the problem.
Okay.
He's now further away than he used to be. He would have been right there.
Yeah, 5 minutes tops.
And I said, or you can hoof it over the bridge and probably make it there in time, you know. And she's like, well, and she just grabs the package and books over the bridge to.
These boots are made for.
Yeah, this is a package we were sending to Melanie, so it was something that was important that needed to be there.
Okay.
So she calls Chandler, and Chandler comes, picks her up. Then they come over, and then we go to get dinner while we're waiting for fucking 3.5 hours for AAA.
That's crazy.
It's nuts. And so when we get back to the car, I'm just sitting there. I got the windows down. You know, I noticed there's like a homeless guy living in his fucking Prius behind the building, literally.
Yeah.
There's another dude in some sort of transit van, like parked over. I don't know why he was parked there, but he was on the phone a lot. So I don't know what he was doing, like a couple spots over. And I was feeling shitty because when I kind of coasted in, I was like the asshole parker because I was taking up like 2 spots.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I called Shanna and I said, hey, because Chandler had taken her home.
Okay.
And I said, hey, you know, last time this happened, we waited a while, it cooled off, and like I started it up and it ran fine. What if that happens and I can just drive it
home
to the shop?
Oh, okay.
Because I'm going to just fucking drop it off.
Okay.
And she goes, yeah, try it. So I started it up, it runs like a champ. And I go, okay, I'm fucking leaving.
Yeah, making a sprint.
Yeah. So I drive to John's Auto Care, and it runs fine all the way there, and drop it off and fucking night drop it. And then Chandler and Shannon and Nicole come and pick me up, and we leave it. And I don't hear anything until today. So that was Thursday night.
Friday.
I did call them Friday morning and say, here's the scenario, and here's what I think it is. Now, what I think is happening is that when it heat soaks like that, it doesn't overheat. The temperature gauge doesn't rise. Nothing weird like that.
Okay.
But what I think is happening is when it heat soaks, the head is maybe warping and letting coolant into the cylinder and like essentially extinguishing any capability for combustion.
Okay.
That's what I think is happening. And then after it cools off, the head sort of settles back down, and then
Either way, that's
it's fine.
bad.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
But that's what happened fucking last January. That's the same exact scenario.
The errands.
We were out playing Ingress.
Oh. Oh, yeah. Okay.
So
yeah, that's
driving
same.
idling and driving and idling and like, not moving very quick so you don't have a lot of airflow.
Okay.
So I explained that to the guy and he was like, oh, okay. And I'm at the point where I don't expect to hear anything back right away.
Right.
Right. So I get a call today, a little after 5, which is interesting because I know they close at 5. So my guy calls me and he says, we think you're right. We think that there is something happening with the head, and that could be the head gasket, or it could be possibly a burnt valve.
Oh, okay.
Something like that.
Okay.
And I was like, well, if it's a burnt valve, that sucks because my stupid warranty company told me on the phone that they won't cover a burnt valve.
Really?
Yeah, which is crazy because it's part of the powertrain.
Interesting.
So they don't know exactly, but they did a leak down test, and it's not like losing compression or anything.
Okay.
So I don't think it's a valve, is my point. I think it's a head gasket. Something is happening when it gets hot. Things are expanding, and it's opening up and letting coolant through. That's what I think is happening. So he tells me on the phone tonight that he understands that this has been going on for a while.
Right. And
we think that we kind of know what the thing is. So he's like, I've already submitted a claim to your warranty company.
To do head gasket?
To like figure out what's going on.
Oh, okay.
He was like, it sounds like they'll probably cover it. So, but what we're going to do, he's like, I know they're going to lowball me on labor and parts or whatever, but we're going to do whatever we can to get you fixed and keep your costs, out-of-pocket costs down.
Okay.
That's what he told me. So I have hope.
Right.
And I think, aside from this issue is the issue. This is what it went into the shop for originally.
Right.
So whatever is happening, we're on track for figuring that out. Now, did it need an ECU? I don't know. I'm not 100% on that one. Did it need a wiring harness? Yeah, it definitely needed a wiring harness.
There was clearly corrosion.
Yeah.
Right. They sent you pictures, I thought, didn't they?
I didn't get any pictures, but
oh, okay.
I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe not. But, but that wiring harness situation, right? We haven't fixed this other underlying problem. That solved a bunch of problems that we had that were in between the two. Basically, we have a bookend of it.
Yeah.
Doing this problem, right?
Because you could get it. I want to say, you could get it to kick out a code without doing the errand rigmarole.
Yeah.
So there was something
to be said for the harness issue.
There could be two truths here. One is a larger issue that's only exacerbated by a heat soak scenario.
Right.
And the wiring the injector issue.
Right.
Which is unfortunate because you would like to think all things lead to one.
Typically.
One solution.
You would hope.
Right.
Like, is my car that fucked up?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
where was this thing before? You ever done
I think it's
pulled
Bay
up
Area.
a Carfax
it's
or something?
Bay Area car. Well, I think was it Bay Area? I think it was bought in the Bay Area and lived its life like in Modesto or something, or somewhere Stockton, Tracy, something like that. So yeah, I did have a Carfax for it, but. So, there's hope, but also like, what the fuck?
So what are they going to do?
So right now they're waiting for the insurance company or
to approve
the warranty company to, he said they're probably going to come here and do an inspection or whatever.
Okay.
and that'll take place in the next day or two. So
they send someone out
apparently,
to look at your biznalls.
yeah,
that looks like a thing.
it's broke. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wonder who the mechanic is for that kind of bullshit. Because I know how home appraisers were doing shiesty shit for whatever the loan company wanted to make targets hit. So I can only imagine that's like a subcontractor mechanic on the tab of the insurance company is just like, oh, what do you need me to say?
I mean, I'm just gonna. I feel like the shop is on the consumer side of this.
In this case,
the vehicle owner side.
Sure.
They're getting run around, not necessarily run around, but they're getting the shaft by the insurance company.
Sure.
Which makes, or by I keep saying insurance, the warranty company. And that makes them pass costs on to me when they know that I know that I'm supposed to only pay a deductible.
Right.
And so that makes them mad because they know I'm upset because they have to charge me more money for a repair. And so I think that they get mad because also they have to deal with them in the sense that like they're difficult to get a hold of. Like he sat on the phone one day for like an hour and a half just trying to get a hold of a guy, so the shop gets upset because they have to deal with these guys.
Right.
And then they're shitty to deal with.
Ultimately, they're mechanics.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
they want to do right by their customer.
No one likes to be mired in politics and drama and paperwork when you could be turning a wrench.
Yeah. And I feel like if my guy can make what he says on the phone happen, then
the car will be right.
The car will be right. And in addition to that, I am going to fucking go on Google reviews or whatever and write one hell of a review because they have gone, in my opinion, above and beyond.
Sure.
To help the customer who has been getting the runaround by their fucking warranty company. That's kind of how I'm looking at it, even though I told him on the phone, like, I feel like, I possibly had a repair that wasn't needed that I spent money on, which is the ECU.
Right.
And he was like, well, it had corrosion. It was just a matter of time. And I'm like, well, no one told me that if that's the case.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know about that necessarily. I mean, that's fine. But this chapter needs to be closed. That is all
we would like to put this one to bed.
Yeah.
Or bury it.
I told him.
Take your pick.
I told him, like, dude, I dropped my car off and I'm sorry it's in your lot. I told him. When I dropped it off Thursday, I called him Thursday morning at like 7:45 in the morning. My car's there, and I'm sorry. But here's the scenario. I'm really sorry it's there. I know you guys don't want to look at it anymore. But we got to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Sorry.
I told him I lost sleep. I like literally lost sleep.
Yeah.
On that Thursday night after dropping it off of like, what the shit? Oh my God, what the fuck?
Like, I can't believe we're here again.
Yeah, we're here again. And I was just feeling good about, we got it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sport brag. You did it.
Yeah.
And
yeah. And then, Shannon and I are like, oh, can you imagine?
Right.
In Fort Bragg.
Yeah, that trip closed.
So that's where we're at. If you wanted an update on the Cadillac, all is not well yet. But there it is. So I'm currently carless. So the best part is that I was asked to come in for my review in the office on Friday morning. So that means I will have to take my wife to work and then drop her off and then have her car so I can drive up to the office.
Oh.
And then back and then pick her up after work.
Well, yeah, there you go.
I mean, it's fine. It is what it is. But he knew that my car wasn't, I didn't have a car.
Right.
Because I just told him on Friday that I dropped my car off at the shop because he's always asking too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I don't have a car. I mean, maybe my wife needs to get to work also, you know.
So he at least worked around your schedule?
No, the time is the time.
Oh.
But if worse comes to worse, we could do it over Zoom or Teams or whatever. But I was like, first of all, I've never met him in person.
No.
So I'm like, yeah, it'd be great to come up and meet you, you know, in person.
Does my badge still work?
Yeah, I often wonder that actually. So
Hashtag send me a badge, Dave.
what are you gonna do? We use it for, you know,
carpet inspection.
I was gonna go write some code.
Yeah, I'll check your ITs and your network jacks.
I will. I'm gonna design a new product. Can you just leave a workstation with the hardware layout software running?
I'm gonna go to your R&D department, wherever that is, and I'm gonna leave some words on your dry erase boards and just say, "Run with it," and then you profit. And that's just how that one works.
Ideas for you guys.
You'd be like,
why didn't we think of that?
Foo's going to come in. He's going to leave us some ideas. Whatever it is, just run with it. Unless it says something about fences.
Yeah.
Or HVAC.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then run with it. Make them, and then we profit.
We already had an HVAC. That has to go in the description for the show now.
The Googles. I had a long... So we're transitioning. I had Nick was here for the book of the afternoon, and I walked past and hey, how you doing? We talked about in a roundabout way. He had an English paper that Piper had mentioned. She was down there to see him writing, and it had to do with the advent of using 3D printing with concrete. To make homes, small homes using 3D printing.
That's really cool stuff.
And I the source or the spawning of the idea of the paper was the implications in using 3D printing to make these style of homes versus the existing method of like framing a house and what it meant for jobs. So that was where I was driving with the conversation, but we were talking about like new stuff and talking about that in abstract. And I asked him if he had done anything or been dabbling in or heard about anything relative like to how AI products are taking part in new stuff. Like he's a young fella, so I figured AI is probably, and he hadn't. So I'm like, so Mid-Journey.
So AI is not considered?
No, he's a civil engineering major, and so he hadn't. He's a smart young man. He really is.
Okay.
And I think he's heads down with where he's going as far as degree and like major and whatnot. So he's not really entertaining.
Well,
the side hustles.
I mean, I don't want to sidetrack this conversation, but I learned from our interns. We just had a class of interns for like 9 or 11 weeks or something. However many weeks
at work?
Yeah, at the office.
Okay.
And they did a presentation when they were leaving. Like, we're all done. Here's what we did.
Okay.
And the takeaway for me is these are all computer science and engineering people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the takeaway for me is that they learn stuff in school, but it doesn't have necessarily a practical application until they get into the real world. Everything's squishy out in the real world compared to what they're learning in class.
Oh, yeah.
It's totally different.
Yeah.
Like the work you do outside. So my point being is that he might be in this like hall for school.
Yes.
But he's not going to be learning about it. And
right.
The AI may not even be part of the conversation until he gets out of school.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So, and he had no real, so I kind of like, well, how about just as like a creator, like Mid-Journey? Do you know any? No. So I pretty much regurgitated the one podcast we had about how like you go from here to here and just how dangerous yet amazing it is, all in the same like thought.
Right.
So we talked about the one realistic Jamaican warrior picture and the paragraph of prompts that led to that. And, it was a good conversation. He was completely unaware that these kind of things exist, but yet at the same time, like, very interested.
That surprises me as an engineering major that he wouldn't. I mean, I understand it's
right. He's more math. Like at this
Right.
point, he's like calculus, linear equations, quadratics, and it's a lot of like formulaic stuff that doesn't necessarily have the. I think if he was probably a literary or English major, things would be different because it's hard to unsee the write me an outline or a paper based off the abstract presentation of a using a prompt of a struggling man in an economy involving a depression.
Well, I mean, he's doing like trusses and shit and fucking building.
Yeah, load bearing wall.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
It's
Yeah.
not really.
Okay, I mean, I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if we had discussed it. It may have happened after the podcast. I think I generated the thumbnail for that week's YouTube episode using AI.
Yeah.
So if you didn't see that, that's there. But in fucking around and finding out, I think I had generated a two guys,
One cup.
yeah, two guys, one table. Pull your pants down, spank the monkey. Two guys, round table, garage, podcast. One man is curly haired and one man is bald.
Yeah.
And while the three of the four had come strangely close to
Yeah.
dialing in me.
Right.
One maybe was close to you. Again, we gave them no shapes, no shapes as far
Right.
as like our body type. But apparently, if you put in curly hair man, you get someone of African or Polynesian descent with an afro,
Right.
as opposed to your curly hair.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I'm that from the waist down.
But the scenario of yeah, they call me Nightstick. Why? Zip.
Oh,
Well. Or Slugger. Right, exactly.
baton.
Baton. They call me the Beat Stick. The Billy Club McGillicuddy.
Sorry.
Yeah, wait, fine.
No, I'm not.
Anyway, welcome to Sad Dad's Club Podcast. It's 30 minutes in. It's episode 250. Shut up, Siri. I'm Lord Fu. He's
I'm
Jim.
Jim.
Fucking whatever. Well, goddamn, where were we?
I don't
Yeah.
remember. The pictures.
Oh, yes.
Generating the pictures.
The ones the podcast scenario pictures
Yeah.
that it had pulled up off my prompt were disturbingly close to a set scenario of what we were shooting for.
Sure. Yeah.
And the prompts gave us a picture of what would have been undiscernible from a fake person and an actual human.
Yeah.
That's a man.
I feel like if you would have taken whatever paragraph you wrote to generate that and just started tweaking it, you could have.
Eventually, I would have got there.
You would have gotten there.
Sure.
For sure.
Sure. I think a week later, I ended up. Venus's mom, at some point, because I think there's two somewhere running around in our families. Venus's mom, when she went to, I think it was the Big Island, at some point, got a picture on I want to say like a metal canvas of a gentleman local to the island, and I'm pretty sure, that had taken a snapshot of a lava flow that had somehow created a heart.
Oh, that's cool.
So it had cooled in a manner that like had created lava flow that made a heart shape.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she has the first one, and it's a gorgeous picture. It's on a metal backdrop, and I think she went back a second time, or maybe she had found another one of the same. I believe it's the same artist that she had given to Venus, and it's the same. It's not the same one. Pretty sure it's not the same. Of another lava flow heart. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I think last week at some point I was like, I walked past this thing. It's super glossy. It's, I enjoy the photo in general. I was like, what are the odds that I could create like a matching alternative to put on the other side of the wall, or another one just in a staggered formation on the wall, or have one to put in the living room. I mean, it's a gorgeous picture. It wasn't turning out right as far as trying to make the AI generate lava that was in an organic heart, not a forced heart.
Yeah.
It just wasn't coming out right. But then Venus, I think she was like, well, I would be happy with like a lava, like a volcano, ocean, steam kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I just altered the prompt, and I got some of the most fucking amazing ocean sunset.
Really?
Lava flow into the ocean. You would not have known
that they weren't real.
And I'm like, fuck, I just put a dude out of work. I just put a photographer out of work. Like it is.
And a helicopter pilot, probably.
Sure. Or, yeah, some dude in a fucking canoe putting his life in danger. Like, oh, the people will love this. I'll sell it for $2,500.
The pyroclasty.
It'll make it worth it, sucking in all the phosphorus. Nah, dude, I got the bots.
Yeah.
To make me the thing. Some really gorgeous photos. Like, and that's the danger.
Yeah.
Like, so some of those photos were like, yeah, as soon as I remove the constraints of like, make me a heart.
Yeah.
I got some crazy opportunities for a scenic portrait, which is also sad because as someone that really enjoys taking those kinds of photos, I am not saying don't take your camera with you. Please take pictures.
No, take the pictures.
Take all of the pictures.
Yeah. The real ones are better.
Especially the ones with your eyes. Please go and experience things and take the pictures. But if you're someone looking to decorate, like I can only imagine this has implications for painters and photographers, professional photographers, environment photographers. This does nothing for people trying to document wildlife, obviously. But if I want a specific scenario of a picture, I don't have to contract an artist or a wildlife photographer to do that. I can...
You can just make it.
Through iterations,
yeah,
I can probably get 98% there and print it and be happy with it.
Right.
Scary,
What's the resolution of those images that it makes? Do you determine that when you
determine that? Like, okay. I put mine at 4K. And then you can...
do you tell it like 300 DPI or 1200 DPI or something like that?
I don't recall 100% enough to say yes or no.
Okay.
Yes. I know you can specify the resolution, but I don't know what your... like, I haven't generated enough final products to know what the actual end game DPI is. I generate the 4 options thumbnails and then go, ooh, fuck, that's nice.
That's good enough
and then
for me.
Every once in a while, general, like, yeah, I like that one. Like, give me an upscaled version of that one, and then I go, ooh, that's nice. And I do nothing with it. Like, I did something like that for Xander the other day. I did dragon, celestial, on fire. Like, because I saw that he had changed. He's a dragon lover. You know, he's like everything. All of his like avatar names are all wyvern or dragon foo or some sort of derivative of a dragon. And I'd seen that he had changed his avatar on Discord, I think, to like a phoenixy dragon, like just a fire dragon kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, well, I know he watches my Discord, so I like cranked out like a couple iterations of like a fire dragon celestial. Like, I was hoping for something like with a backdrop of like a nebula kind of thing, like a fucker on fire with its wings spread out. I got some really good pictures, but he hadn't sent anything, so I like fucking tagged him. I'm like, hey, check these out, son. He's like, those are cool. And then that was it.
That was it.
That was it. And, you know, that's all I got.
Cool enough.
But it's, you know, I have fun in the tool because it gives me an opportunity to like, man, I would really like it. Like, crank me out a picture. I did. What did I do? That. I tried to make Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon as a real dragon. And it gave me some like, fuck, I'd be scared of that.
Oh,
like,
really?
Oh yeah, it made some like, woo, okay, yeah, I wouldn't fuck with that guy. That's danger, Will Robinson. Kind
Interesting.
of thing. You know, fascinating technology still. I love goofing off with it.
Yeah.
Anything else? What do you got?
I mean, just the car. The car, man. Yeah.
So I ran across this on my walk today. If you saw someone, okay, go.
No,
You
go
got
ahead.
something?
No, go ahead.
Okay. If you saw someone riding past you on an electric scooter, no big deal. If you saw someone on a bike riding past you, no big deal. Is it the same kind of equivalence as far as convenience?
I mean, I don't really. Are you trying to say that one of them would have a negative connotation?
Yes.
It doesn't.
If you're on a walk with Max,
yeah,
and someone passes you on an electric scooter,
I'm like, damn, I wish I had one of those right now.
if someone passes you, yeah, right. If someone passes you on an electric bike,
yeah, I mean, like, shit, what do they pay for that motherfucker?
right. I have a identifiable, fuck that guy.
Oh, really?
Trigger between a scooter and a bike.
So the bike gives it, but not the scooter?
Yes.
Okay.
Like, scooters, and here's the thing, both have, as someone that has raced another bitch,
yeah,
hashtag he lost, on a scooter, like, I don't own any electric things. Like, everything I have is manual powered.
Except your fridge.
Right. My traveling devices are all manual. My fridge, you fucking. And the MacBook we're recording this on.
This rack of shit.
This rack of, I love you, Dave. RMA'd stuff that we have to clean and jerk before every episode. Sometimes mid-episode. Hashtag Ulanzi. Not a sponsor. Scooters, I see plenty of these. I see plenty of them whiz past me. I'm like, oh man, that's the scooter.
I mean, there's no difference.
Fundamentally, there's not.
I used to think that about bikes, but I've gotten to the point where I'm like, that's cool. What a cool bike, you know?
Right. Scooter passes me.
Yeah.
Good for them. Yeah, that's nice. Boy, I wish I had a scooter. I remember Ingress. If I had a scooter, I'd probably get all kinds of scooter. Those handy segways. I got passed by a high school kid on a mountain bike.
Yeah.
And I went, fucking little bitch. There is something about the pedals that it's like it's a bike.
Yeah.
Pedal it.
Well, a scooter, you
Absolutely.
have a foot.
I am 100% there. Like
Yeah.
the scooter, you should be like
Pushing,
right,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
Marty McFly on the or skateboard. You're kicking
Yeah.
it. You're kicking it to go.
They got electric skateboards too.
Right. I get it. You should be like both of those devices started with manual power, but the something about being passed by a bike where the kid or adult, because I've had adults do it too, but it's like an instant irritant with the feet in a level neutral position
Yeah.
on the pedals, and all you hear is and past me.
Yeah.
Like honestly,
Do you
you have gearing.
do you get that way too when someone with a Tesla drives by
No,
or a Leaf?
no.
Because it's the same.
There's no manual power involved in
That's
your car.
fine, but
You
I mean,
should-
they're still buzzing by with little effort.
I would probably be mildly irritated by someone in a Tesla that had a manual transmission stick. If I was in a Tesla
Uh-huh.
and someone had installed a phantom manual transmission and they were just going
Just shifting while they're
just randomly shifting, I'd be rolling my eyes and going, honestly, pull the fuck over and let me out of the car.
Can
yes.
you imagine?
Yeah. Can you? Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I'd be like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, is that hooked to something? Are you playing a video game right now? No, it just makes me feel like I'm driving the car. Pull the fuck over. I'll walk the rest of the way.
Considering they don't have any gears at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I did see that Toyota is actually doing that. Toyota is coming up with that has some sort of function in a battery-powered car with a manual stick. So you get the feeling of shifting gears and the need to shift gears, but it is a EV. I don't know where they're at with it, but there was I think this was like a month and a half ago I saw it. Toyota is trying to come up with something that still keeps manual transmission engagement, but it is an EV. I'm like, sign me up? Because that would be... I love rolling through the gears, so it will be...
So
it
would
will
it be
be
a clutch kind of thing, or just an automatic switch with
It's
the
probably
manual?
not going to be no different from fucking flappy paddle boxes.
Right.
You really like...
and basically an automatic transmission that you manually shift.
Right. On this drive, I want manual fuckery mode, and at some point, the motors are going to go. Wee!
Well, I mean, okay.
I'm going to shift for you, dickhead.
Because I mean, it's funny to think about. One of the benefits to me of an electric car is all of the mechanical bits that you're not using
Right.
out of
Right.
internal combustion vehicles like clutches and
Right. I can't wait for the
transmissions.
dashboard OS to lock me out of the account. Listen, you can't shift right, and we don't want your input anymore, and so we've locked your account. What? Yeah, you're terrible at shifting, and you're hurting the motors.
You wind it out way too far.
Yeah, this is not how we're supposed to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just the bike instantly. It's weird because the scooters are supposed to be.
Now, I would feel that way about a bike if it were in the summertime and you went up to they don't call it Squaw Valley anymore, whatever that's Palisades, where you can take the bikes up the mountain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If someone took one of those bikes to Palisades and was buzzing down the hill on an electric bike, I'd be like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yes.
I would get irritated by that.
I could see that. Certainly if they was going up the hill.
Yeah, for sure.
But
I mean, down's down.
Right. Yes.
But also, if it's an electric bike, don't do it.
Dude, I'd lose my shit. If I was doing because they may do a mountain bike version of it, the Squaw Valley Mountain Run, where you used to run up it. And
Yeah.
it was like a 5K to the top, the first lodge,
Yeah.
and then it was beer and calories.
Yeah.
If that was a mountain bike race and on the switchbacks, I'm pedaling my ass off, like going through the gears, and some dude with his fucking feet at level position passes me going, fuckers going over the edge. Like, that would, like, honestly, what are you doing? How is this troublesome for you? Like, it's supposed to hurt.
Yeah.
I saw
part of it is endurance, your body working.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, what do you're fucking cheating.
But I don't care if I'm like on the street and I see a dude on an electric bike or whatever. Cool. It doesn't bother
I'm happier
me.
for them.
Yeah.
Unless I'm walking, and then I'm like,
Now,
you should be pedaling.
one of the things I am impressed with, Chandler and Nicole both have scooters, electric scooters.
Yeah.
The range on those things is pretty tremendous. It's like 20-something miles.
Really?
Yeah, they've buzzed those things all over the fucking place.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, damn, you were all the way over there? You know, I don't remember specifically where they went, like Sierra College or some shit and back.
Wow.
But yeah,
They go distance.
yeah.
Have you ever watched or seen in your YouTube feeds the mega avalanche races where they start in the snow on bikes and then they end up in a small town? I think it's in Europe somewhere. Do you know where it is?
I think it's like in the Alps or something.
Is it?
Yeah.
I've watched a couple of those of late. There's whoever the ones that
they're just bombing down like an icy mountainside.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like snow and sometimes
there's a crash.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of the first ones that I've watched that were from 2020 and earlier, when there was a lot of snow, it's about the carnage at the top of the race where 1,500 people are all trying to mountain bike on snow, and it's ludicrous.
Yeah.
It's
with no traction.
Endos, bike flips, and people losing
Sliding
their shit.
out.
Oh yeah, it's chaos, and it's like that's a broken leg. Fuck that guy.
It's like the cheese wheel thing they do where they chase the cheese wheel down the bottom of the hill. You ever seen that thing?
No.
I think it's in England or something where it's this specifically at this particular hill, and they get a giant cheese wheel and they start at the top, and they get these competitors that they roll the cheese wheel down, and people just go for it.
It's
and
running or biking?
They run down the mountain, and they're like tumbling and
oh god,
oh yeah, people are like breaking bones all the time and stuff. It's nuts balls.
If that's one thing I didn't learn fast enough from my dad, it's that you never run downhill.
Oh yeah, that's what this is. It's like some sort of race they do, and someone is crowned a winner. Yeah.
So I watched a couple of those. Like
Yeah.
I caught up on the one guy. Like oddly enough, now I'm like invested in this one guy that posted these really good videos of like his positioning and his speed. He's come top 10 like a number of times. Sometimes starting way back in the field, and like the last two starting.
And what that tells me is
at
that
the
he's
front.
really fucking good at what he.
Oh yeah, he is very good.
Yeah.
He is. So that's what makes his stuff entertaining. Like the first couple that I watched in like the last 2 years or so, he is starting back of the pack, weeding through all of the carnage of 1,500 some riders sometimes at the snow part, and then ending up top 10, top 15.
Because that's when you're smart. You wait for everyone to fucking trash themselves.
Eat shit, and you go the other way.
And you just figure it out your route.
So I've got this in my feed the last couple days or so, and it pulls up, I think yesterday, it pulled up one wheel race to end all races, or the most dangerous one wheel race. So the one wheel being the
Oh, the electronic.
Yeah, the electronic one wheel
wheel
guy that's like a skateboard with one wheel in between the two platforms of your feet. And this thing was like a juggernaut of a race. Like it.
They put the knobby wheels on it?
Yeah, some of them had it.
Yeah.
Some of them had like the street wheels, and some of them were like super knobby. And it's following this one gentleman who had like a gyro camera at some point. Holding it through most of it, or GoPro, I don't know what the fuck it was. But he's holding it through the entirety of his race. A lot of competitors. It was like in the I mean, we're talking 50 to 100 plus, easy, huge race.
Electric.
One wheels.
Yeah.
Everybody's on a one wheel.
Electric race. That's what's weird about that.
Right. And it is like a it's on like a, what I would recognize as like a cross-country.
Like a BMX track or
yes,
something?
cross-country trail.
Okay.
So it starts like in a park somewhere and then goes through the park, a couple of like paved right side, left side bike trails, and then it breaks off into a cross-country dirt trail, river rock, bedrock kind of thing.
That sounds fun.
Like the powdered dirt. A lot of dust. Enough dust, like while you're watching it, you're like getting...
You're choking.
You're choked up, and you're like, ooh, I feel bad for these guys' lungs, and they're going to have dirt boogers by the end kind of thing. Like, it makes you apprehensive. Like your breathing's going to suck by the time this is over. Everyone's helmet, some degree, the wrist and arm and knee pads, kind of depends, but everyone was wearing a helmet. Whoever this gentleman was that I was following, like you're following as like a third person or first person kind of perspective, he knew a lot of people. So it looked, as far as a community, it looked like at least this gentleman and knew a number of the people on one wheels, like Jeeps or motorcycles. Like it was a close-knit community, and a whole bunch of these people locally who all owned a one wheel were all participating. Now, the race itself, God, I think his video was 45 plus minutes. As you can imagine, with a battery-powered device, whatever length of the race that this thing was, with the amount of hills that were involved, I started to lose interest because a number of the participants ran out of battery, including the person you're following.
Oh, damn.
Like, at some point going up a hill on like a cross-country trail, he's like, I'm out of battery, and he hasn't finished the race. I'm like, I feel like that's dumb to me. Like, if your race, I'm all for a hard race, a race that puts you through multiple environments.
Yeah.
But if 90%, that's a made-up stat. If a good portion of
make up stats.
Yeah. If a good based off this video, if a good portion of your participants end up along the way as on the side as
DNFs.
Right.
Yeah.
Your race is too long. Right. And some of that surely could be, well, I didn't charge my battery. Absolutely. Some of those people are those people. But
what's the difference between the people that made it to the end and the people that didn't make it to the end?
Probably any other thing with an electronic device. Your battery cycles have reduced your efficiency from 90-something% down to 70%. If you've gone through a whole bunch of cycles or you ran it too hot, thermal overheating.
I mean, I assume
software bugs.
That these are people that are modding their fucking one wheels.
Well, I could tell you,
batteries.
I was like, I ended up finishing the video. Like, well, you didn't get to see the finish line. You didn't get to see the winner. And I went, well, this is dumb. Like, I was hoping, and there's a whole ebb and flow to like his race the entire time. Like he, through some of the uphills, you've got like washes in the trail and larger rocks. People fall off their unit, and there's certain sections that were too steep for the one wheel to pull off. So a number of people are like walking with their.
So that's acceptable, though.
It was yes.
So in theory, you didn't necessarily not finish if you could walk your one wheel across the finish line.
I guess, but you didn't get to see that. So what it looked like to me was that if you couldn't finish, you turned into a spectator with like your one wheel on the side. Like the guy ends up pulling off in like a hairpin on a portion of the trail, like holding his one wheel and like filming like commentary with his kids who were holding one wheels. So it's like, well,
Give me your one wheel, son. I got to finish this race.
Right.
I mean,
give me your fucking like.
I mean,
like,
first of all, I will have to say you started telling me the story, and I'm like, fuck, I got to look this up. And then you're getting to the end, and I'm like, fuck, I'm not looking that shit up.
Yeah,
because I don't want the disappointment of not being able to finish.
Right. Now I'm like, I get to the end, and I'm like, I think it was this morning. It was still like rubbing me raw. Like, yeah, but the idea in the community was like, I would love to participate in something like that, though. Like, I'm enough of a snowboarder, and the one wheel and the skateboards. I'm trying to draw a blank of what your son owns.
Oh,
boosted board.
Boosted board.
The boosted boards that I've seen Casey Neistat.
They don't exist anymore.
Right.
But
and the scooters are all just on like that fringe, like a price point of a fringe that's like I can't justify that.
Yeah.
But I would love the ability to I enjoy snowboarding. I know you do.
Yeah.
And you enjoy skateboarding more than I ever have. And probably have a skill set far exceeding mine. But if I could
not anymore
participate in like that orientation as like a blow off steam thing is somewhere in between without having to worry about the price point of getting into it in a heartbeat. Absolutely. And if I could race like that, like, oh man, I could only imagine if I got on the mountain, like the quick transition of being, instead of having to like get like a couple fresh runs or even a couple trips up the mountain to get back into that snowboarding saddle as far as balance and like comfortability, because the other 9 months of the year I'm on a boosted board or a one wheel, loosely staying in that body motion. Like, it would be a lot easier. Like, I don't know. But the endurance race that's positioned such that you end up not being able to finish because your battery run out, like, that's an instant irritant to me.
Well, the first thing that I think of is, how does, if you're a guy who is a one wheel racer, right, and you're going to this event, I would expect that you are putting in a bigger battery pack. You're fully making sure that your battery is charged.
Sure.
And if you're one of those people and are in this competition and can't finish, then your race is definitely too long.
Yeah, I would agree.
Because
and I don't know.
I mean, I assume there's probably some people that are just going with stock one wheel and not doing bigger batteries.
Sure.
How can they be expected to go all the way if someone who has a modded setup can't do it?
I don't. Yeah. Have Chandler ever mentioned, like, if he can run an external while actively using his scooter
on the boosted board or the scooter?
Or his boosted board, either or.
Not that I'm aware of. They just have to be plugged in.
You bet your ass, if that was an option, I would have a backpack full of lithium-ion batteries and a cable running to the unit and just be like, I'm going to be running for
Velcro them to the board between your feet.
I got 24 hours and a cable.
Yeah.
Like, fucking watch me finish this race.
I got a 6,000-foot extension cord.
Yeah. And then I'm going to start towing bitches.
Well, it's just kind of a weird scenario, like the planners of this event. Like,
yes,
did someone,
agree.
I mean, I assume someone finished the race, and I would love to see if they were modified battery-wise or not.
I would agree. I maybe,
because if that's
maybe that was like in the description, like, of the actual race and location. Yeah. I feel like I should owe the opportunity to, like, actually see how it ended and where it was, because as a race, I would like to know that if it, like, there's one thing to put something even the Spartan races and the mud races and the CrossFit goofball shit are intended for a bulk of the participants to complete it. It's like the Ninja Warrior stuff. You're going to weed out the chaff. Like, I get it.
Yeah, there's people that aren't
but
going
it
to finish.
is designed
To make it all the way.
to be completed by someone. At
Right.
least, certainly the bulk. You know, again, I don't know if they're paying like a fee or if it was just like let's all go out and here's the race course and everyone see. Like, it may be that, but it was, as far as the description was labeled, it was a race. So, like,
well, I'm thinking like
there was course markers and shit like that.
like a rally car race, right? They wouldn't make it so a rally car track so long that you would run out of gas 3/4 of the way. I mean, no one would make.
Well,
no one would finish.
Ken Block couldn't get to the end, so we have no one because everyone, you know, it's a.
First of all, there's nowhere to stop along the way to get gas.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a fuel tank big enough to make it all the way,
you're regulated on a 10-gallon tank, and you need 15 gallons to finish the actual course.
No one would do it.
Right.
You know?
This is dumb. I don't think that's how it's supposed to work.
I maybe in the one-wheel race, it was whoever could make it the furthest. And then part of that could be just efficiency.
We're just going to keep you going back on switchbacks for like forever and ever, and the person that gets the furthest, you get the Twinkies.
Yeah.
The what? The Twinkies.
Oh, that's all it's for?
Oh, well, I'm not really hot on that.
I mean, Twinkies are expensive these days, so that might be worth it.
But, you know, I would love to. I'm more hot on like a one wheel. Or what would be your choice if you could pick an E thing to ride?
I actually kind of like the big scooters.
Do you?
Yeah.
Like the.
And actually, recently I looked at a couple of people on e-bikes, and I was like, that's pretty cool.
So not a skateboard. Really?
No, I really liked the boosted boards, but they're not around anymore, and I don't know if anyone makes anything comparable to what a boosted board was.
Sure, China.
Well, maybe.
They're like dime a dozen at this point.
Oh, are they?
So you're talking about like the Segway versions or like the Lime scooters, the big platform, big adult size?
I don't know. Whatever. Chandler's got a couple of really nice that he bought on like Facebook Marketplace for cheap.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's a place to get them.
Good battery life?
Yeah. Like I said, they got like 20 miles or something. 20-something miles. Yeah, he got them for cheap they're like probably $900, $1,000 scooters he got for $300-400.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if it gets people out, and there's that too, right? Not to shame someone, like these young kids need to be pedaling their bikes. I'm sorry. If you're in fucking high school, you should be pedaling your bike.
I mean, if you can make it like a bike with a video game built into it, that they would have to bike around town to play the video game, and that would get them out to do it. You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
So they're pedaling and playing the game.
Yeah.
But they aren't paying attention to traffic.
Right.
So that could be bad. But
then they would run into me, and I'd have a whole different set of bitches.
Just don't get one for your son.
You know, it's these kids that are pedaling around for fitness, trying to earn V-Bucks for Fortnite, and the fucker ran into me.
Right.
And it blew out my ankle.
Yeah.
Now I got pins. Fucking whatever. I'm very angry about it. And clouds.
Damn kids.
My dead ass lawn.
I think it all boils down to damn kids.
Yeah, fucking kids.
Here's something interesting we saw last night. We were at our Safeway, and we had purchased some things at the self-checkout, and we were walking out. And as we walk out, two dudes came quickly strolling from the back of the store.
Okay.
In front of us, maybe 20 feet ahead of us.
Okay.
And they were walking quite fast from the back of the store to the exit.
Okay. Diarrhea.
And we're kind of over by the check stands, like kind of coming up towards the door at the corner.
Yeah.
And they were quite a bit ahead of us, walking quite quickly. And one of them reaches down because they got a display of shit right next to the door, which I think is bonkers. And reaches down and grabs a thing and just walks right out the door.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's pretty obvious to me. Number one, they just snaked that fucking thing right out.
Right.
but
Was
they
it
were
like
probably stealing
fruit?
some other shit. No, it was like a bag of
Dicks?
salt taffy,
Okay.
saltwater taffy.
Okay, so something.
Some candy thing that
It wasn't a bag of fruit. It was a bag of.
No, you know, they
products.
usually have like granola. There's like a thing right in front that usually has like half a watermelon in the fridge.
Yeah.
And then there's things on the sides, little racks that have like, in this case, saltwater taffy.
Okay.
Sometimes it's granola.
Okay.
You know, he just grabbed one of those and out the door. But the way they came from the back of the store, you know, they were stealing something else.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which my wife and I's assumption was probably they came from the meat department.
Oh yeah.
Throw some steaks, you know, because they were wearing like a vest.
Some flank.
Probably throwing
flank steak running.
maybe. I mean, that's a thing, right? People are stealing meat and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they get out and they go to their car and they're driving a Hummer. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? But it's like, this is the reason why, part of the reason why our fucking pricing is so high. I mean, Dick's Sporting Goods came out and said, our profits are down because of so much theft.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. They
No.
came out and said that.
I mean, we just had that. I can't remember if we talked about it on the show. Like there was a thing going around on social media of a pedestrian filming people walking out of our Dick's.
Oh, yeah.
With 3 or 4 people walking out of our Dick's with handfuls of apparel.
Yeah.
Handfuls. I'm like, because it's one thing if you're like, oh, you know, thieves running out of stores with handfuls of stuff, but it was like emblazoned in captions, Roseville, California, Dick's Sporting Good,
Right.
thieves take handfuls of Nike gear.
Yeah.
And I'm like Roseville, California. Okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, like, yeah, this is my town, yep, that's my Dick's.
Oh, cool.
Like, I recognize those pylons.
Yeah.
Yep, I've slapped those before.
I mean, there's a reason why bags of chips right now are $5.50. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
$5.50 for a bag of Doritos. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
That's part of it.
They're not even really good anymore.
Yeah, they have definitely kind of lost a little bit of their
At this
appeal.
point, peanuts have more stuff going on for them right now.
I'll just take a plain corn chip, you know? Just like a bag of Santitos or whatever.
Santitas.
Santitas? Santitos.
Tito's? Tito's is the vodka, bro.
I like Tito's. I invite him to all the parties.
Yeah. Hey, let's get yeah. Drinkinator.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. It's normally I don't see that stuff. Feel like I'm like kind of, I don't really pay attention to that stuff, but my wife and I were like, oh shit, did you just see that? And then we walked out the door and like no one's around. It's not like there's any employees anywhere near there. All the check stands are behind us.
Yeah.
And they're just right out the door. Probably, I'm assuming by the way they were walking, they were stealing some other stuff. And that was just, oh, grab this on the way out.
Yeah. Oh, I got a free hand.
Yeah.
So fill it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Much unfortunate.
I hate seeing that stuff.
They probably didn't have time to return the cart.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because that's how that.
I mean,
Those are probably the people.
When you're worried that you're not going to make it to the car without getting handcuffed,
right,
you're not returning your car.
you're probably not
That's
worried.
the least of your concern.
Like,
They didn't even have a cart.
yeah. Well, I'm passing one, and I could return it, but this flank steak isn't going to pay for itself.
Yeah.
So I have to get in the Hummer ASAP.
I need to get it out of my vest so I don't cook it.
Right, because if I don't get it back into the freezer, then it's going to go bad, and I have to come back in here and steal another one.
I just hate seeing that stuff, you know? I hate seeing that stuff.
Yes.
Because I'm like you, I assume. I pay for all my shit, you know?
Yeah.
We shop sales,
Yeah.
you know? Like, what is going on? I have a hard
It
time.
feels a lot
with that.
easier. I think that's what makes it. Like, I don't have any illusions that
That it doesn't happen.
You're right. What makes it unfortunate is I think the advent of social media and the internet and connectivity.
When you can see
pulls back the curtain
Yeah.
to the reality of its frequency, makes it hard to digest.
Well, I think even more so is that when you can see that people are pulling these kind of stunts off on the regular, then it emboldens other people to do it more.
Sure.
So that's part of it, right?
Sure. And there's man, this gets cascades real fast.
Yeah.
Because I think, we're way at time. I think in our youth, there was much more of a emboldenment for store owners to step in front of that.
Yes.
To apprehend or engage in a physical altercation to, you are stealing and stopping an assailant.
Sure. Absolutely.
And there are all kinds of spots on that spectrum of someone that deserved what they got coming and someone that did it safely and someone that went over the top and injured someone. And so I get it. There are all kinds of spots there, but the litigation of a proprietor trying to protect their investments and their business versus being afraid of enforcing a code, like you can't. That's mine. You can't walk out of here with that without paying for it. I expect you. There's an engagement here. You pay, you get stuff. If not, well, then I'm going to impede you from doing this thing because that's how our community and social engagement work. And then you get to the part where it's like, well, yeah, that's why I have insurance. So you get this acceptance of the numerics involved in, that's why I have insurance, so I accept a % loss.
But do you think it's that the shop owner business is like leaning on their insurance, or do you think it's the people who are stealing that are like, oh, well, they got insurance anyway? Because either way, it's a cop-out.
I think it's probably across the board.
And probably the shop owner is not going to go like to his insurance every time he gets something stolen from him, because otherwise he'll get dropped. You know what I'm saying?
Certainly, but probably,
or his rates go.
I would imagine probably for certain strata of business, that insurance issue and rates and dropping and shopping for another provider is probably a thing. For big box stores, probably not. The juice is not worth the squeeze kind of thing. I don't think Walmart bats an eye about shop theft and insurance. And I think criminals understand that there's a gap there.
Specifically when it comes to Walmart, they have closed all their stores in Portland. And a lot of it is theft.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, So I think it's both sides. I think the big box numbers, accountants, and people behind the scenes have accepted there's a margin of loss that we are willing to accept. And I think that has transitioned to those that know that those in the know, or they won't stop us. They have a carve out.
The thing is, I think that margin of loss is growing. It's getting beyond.
Maybe
if Dick's is coming out and saying publicly, our profit margin was low, and part of that is due to theft. That's beyond their loss prevention capabilities.
I can totally see that. Yeah. Like at some point, you get like a tipping of the scale. You get a fear of litigation or an entry to a plaintiff because they got stopped somewhere, or you put a store employee put a cart in front of a car trying to escape a theft, and the car wrecked, or you scratched the paint. Like at some point, the removal and theft of materials is going to cause a shift in insurance or a change in pricing, or I have a third-party security guard that like is some sort of Fallujah wannabe that cases the front of the Rayleighs.
Right.
Like, what has gone on there?
Oh, you know what it is? It's alcohol theft. Literally.
Yeah. Okay. And the fucking baby formula is locked up now. Of course, there's like CBD stuff that's in the front cabinet, but the
Walmart.
My grocery store has an on-staff security guard with a full belt full of bullshit.
Right.
Like, okay.
We went to go to Walmart to get some clothes washer detergent.
Yeah.
All of the Tide products are behind glass now. How well do you think they're going to sell those Tide products now? Right?
Yeah.
Every single Tide product that they sell, which is quite a bit, it's like 2/3 of the aisle is behind glass now. So that means if you're a Tide product user, and you go to Walmart to buy that stuff, because probably cheaper there, you have to now find somebody to help you.
Yeah.
We talked about this before. The batteries. Remember when I went to go get batteries for my fucking mouse?
Oh, yeah.
And they were locked up, and I was like, I'm out. How many people are going to put up with that shit? That's the problem, right?
Yeah.
For most people, it's not worth it. I'll just go somewhere else.
There's way too much stuff at this point that I can get next day from Amazon.
Right.
To where if there is, which is unfortunate because I love shopping local. I love supporting local businesses. But if there is, this is the movement of the goalpost for me. If there is, I'm a sad dad, right? I am so crunched for time. If there is a impediment to my shopping flow, and within 30 to 60 seconds, I can pull up an Amazon app and see whether or not I can get that thing delivered to me tomorrow with no hassle at a price within margin.
Right.
It's done.
Right.
I'm not gonna hassle ringing a bell and waiting 30 seconds to trouble some guy
longer.
Yeah, who's doing a cartless shopping shit for someone else. I'm just gonna walk. I'm gonna go home, and on the way, I'm placing the order, and by 7 a.m., the shit's going to be on my porch anyway.
I know. This is the conversation that we had after that we watched that happen at Safeway. I was like, well, no one's stealing shit from Amazon. It's not like they're impervious, but you don't get something sent to you unless they take a payment, right?
Right.
So, if you're an brick and mortar retailer, it's tough because people are just going to fucking take advantage of you.
Yeah. It hurts me because like I return the cart and I return other carts.
I wash my hands.
And I would, oh shit, we're doing that.
I thought so.
Oh, well, yeah. Fuck.
No.
I tried this earlier, like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would wear the mask.
Yeah. And, I check my oil toner.
Register to vote. Has he? I swear.
I
hope he gets this far every episode to know that he's famous.
I know.
Not really.
Yeah, he's not really famous.
By the bathwater.
Yeah. I don't know. I do the kindness.
Pick up a broom.
And I make the call if I have to.
And we'll catch you next week.
Thanks for listening. We might pick this up next week.
What?
We might pick the rest of that. That's a good conversation.
It's a hot button.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Talk to you later.
Bye.